Yo, welcome back to the Ben Barker Fitness Podcast. Y'all, thank you so much to everyone who's been watching, sharing, leaving reviews. If you would leave a review and share the show, I would genuinely appreciate it. Y'all, I am pumped today to have the illustrious, legendary Jim Ski. What's up, dude?
What's going on, buddy?
Bro,
Glad-
I feel like this is a long time coming. I was thinking about just having like dads on the show who are absolute bosses.
I love
And
that.
the other day, I was like, it's got to be Jim. Dude, so tell me first of all, if anybody doesn't know who Jim is, like he gained a lot of traction last year by doing 365 days in a row of Murph. If you have any experience with the CrossFit world, you know Murph, and you gear up to do it one time per year. It destroys your body. You rip your hands, and then you do it again in another year. This guy did it 365 days in a row. What was the decision like in trying to do that?
So there's a couple of things that went in. I mean, it happened on accident. When I started doing it, it was more for selfish reasons. I've kind of come out and said this on a couple other podcasts I've done, but the start of it obviously was to honor Mike Murphy, which we do every Memorial Day. Being prior law enforcement, like military law enforcement hero wads mean a lot to me, more than any other workout. So it's always like, I don't know, I've always had a draw to that. And then I was kind of just going through some personal stuff at the time and started doing Murph one day. And I was like, going through some stuff. I was like, I'm just going to empty the tank and just go all out and try to kind of black out. And I did. And just at that point, all the thinking went away and I was pretty happy. So I said, you know what, I didn't really put much thought into it. The next day I came back and I was like, I want that again. So I did Murph. And then I had TikTok and none of my friends had TikTok. So I figured none of my buddies can make fun of me for posting on social media, but I kind of want to like document this journey of what happens when I decided I want to do 30 days of it. I put it on TikTok. I think around the fourth day, it kind of just went viral. And I had service members, law enforcement, all these awesome people that I resonated a ton with reaching out and saying, hey man, this inspired me to get in my garage and work out before my shift, et cetera, which is like kind of leads into the non-selfish aspect of it. Then it kind of drew me into, okay, this is bigger than you. Like you're inspiring a group and a community that means a whole lot to you while also bringing awareness to the fact that, brave men and women die every day so that we can do anything we want. And it's just, I wanted to be able to present that every single day because I feel like sometimes it gets lost in translation in the CrossFit community. Like you see the name of the hero and you're like, okay, we're doing a really cool workout. Here's a hero. No, that's somebody's son, husband, father that died for us. Like it's more than just the name. Like it is the name and then the story behind the workout. So I was like, if I can reach this many people, tell Mike's story and also inspire, a community that I align with, and it's a win-win for me. And I just was like, I'm just going to go 365.
So you decided after 30 days that you were going to do the rest of the year?
Yeah, yeah. Because people were just like, "Come on, do a year, man," and I was like, "Dude, that's crazy. Like, I don't think so." And then just the outpouring was like insane, and the support and just the way that it made me feel and what I was able to give back to the community was like huge for me. And like I said, at that point, it started for selfish reasons, but it kind of became bigger than me.
I will say this as well. So first of all, like if you're not part of the CrossFit community, y'all, that's something that CrossFit does really well. The workouts mean something like to that individual. Like they put movements in that workout that individual liked doing. And then it's like you do a little bit of suffering for the in huge amount, like the incomparable amount of suffering that they went through. And so it's really, really cool. What was the difference between what you're doing currently and the 365 days of Murph? I thought I knew, but I actually went through your page and I saw you posted about it, one of your pin posts, and it was
Mhm.
opposite of what I was thinking. What's
Yeah.
been what's been more of a challenge?
So like some Hero 365 is a lot harder for me. And I think there's probably a couple reasons why. I think one, my body adapted pretty well to the same movements. Also, to be fair and transparent with this, I'm pretty good at push-ups, pull-ups, and squats, like body weight movements, kind of
Yeah.
a wheelhouse. So there was already a pretty strong base there. And at that point, there wasn't a ton of breakdown in my body other than the running on the pavement. 2 miles really isn't enough to do significant damage. But these hero workouts, I just noticed in the first like 60 days, there's a theme in the programming, and it's accessibility to everyone. So we don't want to make the movements too high skill or it's dumbed down. Well, unfortunately, that comes with a lot of kettlebell swings, box jumps, and deadlifts. And it was like just constant hinging at like 70% for like at one point is like 40 days in a row. So I think just the volume and the breakdown of my CNS was just pretty tough to handle in the first 30 or 40 days. And it's still hard. Like I'll still look at WODs and see, front squats, and I'm dealing with like a wrist injury or just like nagging things, and it's breaking me down. And also, on the flip side of that, I did just do 365 days of Murph, take about a week off, and then jump into this. So you're really looking at somewhere close to like, at right now, like 750 days into consecutive workouts.
Bro, that's wild.
Yeah.
Are you being strategic on what hero wads you're choosing based on what you did the previous day?
No, I'm not. So sometimes it happens on accident or
Yeah.
because not a service member or a law enforcement officer where I can find that passed away on that day. But the way that I've been doing it is I try to honor the hero on the day that they died.
No way. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's a ton of hero wads, but there are days that are missing. So I'll just kind of backfill them with ones that I think are cool, or like a family member of the fallen person will reach out to me and it'll be like September and they pass away in May. Well, I missed the workout. So I try to make it up. I have a list of makeup days basically, or they'll be like May will have, 4 or 5 people that passed on this one day. So I'll just backfill them on the days that there isn't one that I can find.
Got you, dude. I really appreciated it. I think I had commented on the one when you did Adam Brown,
Yeah.
because Adam Brown was from like 30 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
And then just on like the practical implication, like that's a tough workout.
It really is. I'll be straight honest with you on that one, man. I was scared of it and I knew it was coming. I had done Adam Brown before, but I had not done Adam Brown prior to dealing with all this volume.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming up. I knew it was coming up. And a buddy had sent me his book, and I knew Adam's story, but I had not read his book. And his book was one of the most inspiring things I've ever read in my life. If people haven't, go check that out. It's a great read.
What's the name of it again, Jim?
I think it's Relentless.
Yeah.
I haven't, but I think it's like
I think
Relentless.
that's right. That sounds right. And y'all, if you haven't read it, it's an awesome read. And I think you should read the book and then do the workout.
Yeah.
And I think that workout's almost worse for a guy like you who can do it prescribed and hit a pretty quick pace, because boy, that's a booger, dude. I mean, even like the bench press is hard on that workout.
Yeah, the bench press beats you down, man. What's the one part of it that's real? I mean, it's all pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, the deadlifts get pretty heavy. I think it's 295 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds right. And like 24 reps, is that right?
Yeah, it's 24 reps of it. So it gets pretty gnarly. Yeah, that one's a beat down for sure.
So what's been your favorite hero wad that you can think of off the top of your head, and what's been the most challenging?
Oh, so there's about 5 that come to mind for like most challenging, and they all have reasons. They all have different stimuluses, and they all have, I guess, stimuli. Is that
Yeah.
the
We'll go with that. I feel good about that.
And there's just it really depends on the way you're feeling coming into that week. Like some have just been like workouts that I love, and when I've done them that week, it's just been like, wow, that sucked. The hardest one of the hardest ones, I still think, is a workout named Tommy, and it's not a very well known hero wad, and it took me 2 hours.
Woo!
And yeah, and it was a dogfight the whole time, and I was pretty fresh going into that one, and I said afterwards, like in my post, I was like, Tommy must have been the baddest mofo walking around on earth, because this is the hardest work I've ever done. And it's funny, his niece commented on it and said, yeah, he was.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I've had that happen a lot where it's been like, it almost gets emotional for me. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I'm like so happy that like somebody was able to see this. Maybe, they're going on the anniversary date of their loved one dying. Like maybe this like reminded them of something that made them happy about that person. And that was worth every bit of it. So yeah, Tommy is really, really, really hard. Kalsu is an absolute nightmare, and I don't ever want to do it again. That's just a whole different beast. Like Tommy's just like a 2 hour like grunt work grind beatdown. Kalsu is like the pain of Fran for like 10 to 15 minutes.
What is Kalsu again? Do you remember?
100 thrusters for time at 135 pounds, but every minute on the minute, you have to do 5 burpees.
Gross.
It's hard. It's horrendous. Trying to think of, I mean, I don't have them all written down, but like, there's like 5 or 6 that come to mind that are just like, so the worst one that I've done so far is, so have you heard of the workout Clovis?
Yes. Squat
Okay.
cleans, right?
No.
No.
So it's 10 miles of running
Oh,
and 150 burpee pull-ups.
oh my.
Partition it any way you want. So you can do 1 mile and then 15 burpee pull-ups, etc. Well, there's a guy named Travis Mead who's also a psychopath who kind of put out this challenge, like, has anybody ever done double Clovis? And I'm like, hmm. And then me and him were talking. He's like, has anybody ever done double Clovis in a vest?
Oh,
20 miles, 300 burpee pull-ups in a 20-pound vest.
did you do it?
Yeah, it took me 4 hours.
Bro, you're a wild man.
Yeah.
I mean, had you run 20 miles previous to that ever?
One time and not in
Okay.
a vest. And it was like probably 3 months before that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
now I'm like fully in on the running stuff. But
Let's go. Cause I know like guys like you and like guys like me, like I feel like I can run a semi decent half marathon at any time, even if I haven't ran. Right.
yeah,
But that's without a vest and without burpees. Like when you throw and an
burpees,
extra 7 miles.
the burpees are the best part.
I'm sure, dude.
Get a
Wow.
break. I partitioned it. So I did like a mile and then 15 for 20 rounds. And then since then, so I'm now in the transition of I'm starting my ultra marathon training.
Let's go.
Um, we can get into that later. That's a whole different beast. But
Yep.
throughout like this process, I just kind of wanted something that would challenge me. But being a dad and only having, I'm very lucky that my wife gives me this time to train, and I've built a home garage gym to be able to be with my family more and
Yep.
get the environment, which is like, I love it so much. But I had 2 hours one day and I was like, I want to keep the streak alive, but I also have to get my running in for this ultra marathon prep. So at one point there was like 2 weeks in a row where I think I did Clovis 4 times within the 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because you have 2 hours, you got to get 10 miles in, and you got to keep the streak alive. Like, what better workout?
Wow, dude. So that was a perfect transition because I had a question, even just trying to schedule time for you to hop on a podcast with me. You were super receptive and everything, but you're like, bro, just a heads up, I'm busy. It's like just like let's try to squeeze it in. Like
Yeah.
I hear so many guys say, like, oh man, I don't have time. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, yes, you do. Like you
Yeah.
have to make time. So I feel like a guy like you who's working really hard, a wife, do you have one or two kids?
2 kids.
Two kids, like you make time. Like I know it's a struggle, but like what's the motivation for making time? Like what do you think the benefit of it is for you? Like speak on that a little bit.
So my biggest thing that I took away from Murph is I don't waste my time doing things now that don't make me a better husband, human, or father. Those are my 3 things, man. And I realized through that time, like, okay, you're working. At the time I was a police officer, you're working 10-hour shifts. You got this much time to be with your kids. Murph's got to get done in an hour. There's no more coming home from work and sitting on the couch and turning on Sports Center or looking at the phone or whatever. Like, it's got to be done. It's got to be prioritized. So for me, I kind of would sit back on that and look at it and be like, man, this is all the things I'm wasting my time on that don't make me a better husband, human, or father. And it's like, you'd be amazed if you sat there and thought about all those things. And now, in the point in my life, I'm very lucky. I have a very good friend who started a successful environmental construction company, and he was nice enough to offer me a job coming out of police work. And this job is, I'm busier than I was as a cop, like way busier. And I still find time, whether it's you wake up at 4 a.m. or you throw the kids in the stroller and you do Murph with the stroller. Like, I ran 14 miles on Saturday while my wife was out of town and I had both the kids.
Yep.
It can happen if you want it to happen. For me, it has to happen because
Yeah.
it's my mental well-being is staying on me getting that workout in. And when I was doing Murph, it was awesome because my kids loved being out there with me in the garage, and my daughter doing burpees with me, squats with me, etc. And they see dad getting after it. And it's like, to me, there's no cooler thing.
Yeah, man, I think Bro, you hit the nail on the head because it's like for my kids to see that it's just part of life and not a
Yeah.
chore. And I mean, some days it is a chore. And I think that's when you talk about dedication and
Mhm.
doing hard things. But other times when you learn that it's just like your kids see you doing it every day, like if they see you sitting on the couch and watching TV all day and eating potato chips, like that's probably what they're gonna do. Whereas they see
Yeah.
you getting jacked and getting strong and like doing what you say you were going to do, man, that's huge to your kids.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're a product of your environment for sure.
100%, dude. And then like, and I think like, what better way to spend time? Like, is it quality time when you're like watching TV together, or is it quality time when you're improving together?
Yeah, no, I mean, so my wife asked me when we went on that 14-mile run, it's almost 2.5 hours. She's like, what did you do? And I'm pushing 80 pounds worth of kid in a stroller. She's like, what? The kid stayed calm the whole time. Would you give him an iPad or something? I was like, no, I taught Harper how to count with her fingers on the run. And we had a full blown conversation for an entire hour
Yep.
between me and my 4-year-old, which sounds insane, but we had a full blown conversation. And I was like, that, and I was looking back and I was like, man, that was a really good use of my time while mom was out of town.
100%. Dude, I took my son, like we in Arkansas, we have this mountain. It's called Pinnacle Mountain. It's not huge. It's probably like 1,000 feet tall or something. But when my son was 5, I woke him up at like 5:30 on a Saturday morning and took him to climb the mountain. And it was just, man, like doing stuff like that with your kids, like where they see that challenges are a good thing and
Yeah.
the reward at the end of it is huge.
And I had that conversation with my 4-year-old the other day. And I don't know, say what you want about maybe a 4-year-old doesn't grasp the concept of it, but like I was sprinting the last mile and I was like at the verge of like throwing up. And she's like, wow, why do you look so sick? And I'm like, because I just ran a 7-minute mile after 14 for the last mile. And she was kind of like, why? And I was like, well, Harper, if you do really, really hard things when it doesn't matter and you can get through them, when it does matter, you're going to know that you can get through them.
100%, dude. And I think we've all probably seen that video floating around on Twitter of the aunt who let the stroller go. And
It's
first
terrible.
of all, she was a great aunt. Like
Yeah.
I'll give her some credit there that she was older.
Yeah.
But if you do this like when you're our age for an entire life, we're still going to be units when we're
Yeah.
sick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think you kind of got to make a decision like how you want to live. And I've always said like I'm sure that your body hurts probably daily. I assume.
Um, Not as much as you would think.
I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
There's a genetic component to it. There has
Yeah.
to be. My mom ran marathons for a long time.
I
My
gotcha.
dad, college football player who worked out like an animal. So my mom, like, just doesn't feel pain, I swear. And I think that's passed down to me. I don't know genetically or what, but like
Yeah.
I had the ability to take in volume and handle it really well.
First of all, that's incredible. But second of all, I'll say for us mere mortals, I always joke with people. I'm like, hey, listen, you can like hurt from being a little sore from working out, or you can hurt from being weak and like
Yeah.
decrepit. And it's like you just got to make a decision.
Yeah, for sure. For
So
sure.
I do have a question, like programming wise.
Yeah.
Just a guy like me who I like to keep my workouts pretty structured. You know, I
Mhm.
know like I'm doing front squats on Monday with tempo, like RDLs, all this other stuff. Are you doing? And I know you're running now for ultra marathons. When you're doing like Murph and before you started doing ultra marathoning, were you doing like auxiliary work on top of the workouts?
Yeah, I was doing full CrossFit programming on top of it. So about 40 minutes or so of lifting and then like a 30. I'd allow for 30 minutes, but obviously the stimulus changes. Like there's a 10-minute workout some days or 30-minute workout some days. Like, but I was still doing your traditional CrossFit programming on top of it, strength and conditioning, and still going into it. Yeah, absolutely. Still lifting, Olympic lifting, doing CrossFit, staying part of that community while I'm doing the ultra training. Cause I think the leg strength when going up the mountain is going to translate and make it. I don't know. I've learned how to suffer better too with CrossFit. So I think that translates into everything that you do.
Yep. Dude, I was talking about this with my wife the other day. Like she has a YouTube channel and we were talking about, it's like you're always like looking forward to the next thing. And it's like, once I get past this, I can be happy. Once I pay off this, I can be happy, like blah, 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 blah. But like there's a saying, it's called like suffer well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like working out has such a correlation like with life because it's like it's never going to be perfect. And
Right.
like learning how to be content like while you're suffering is like such a huge like flip that you switch in your mind. And I think
Yeah.
learn that from working out as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, I think on the flip side of that too, where it's like everybody's always looking for the end of something, or like I'll be happier when this gets over or when I get through this part. Like throughout training in life, like I've come to like I love training. I
Yep.
love it. It's my favorite part. Like having a goal to work towards is like cool and I love it. I don't really care about the actual race. I don't care about the actual CrossFit competition, whatever. I just enjoy training.
Yep. And dude, and I also think people like will say it's easy for me because I enjoy training. Like one, I don't always enjoy training, but two, it's because I started doing it when I was 13 playing football, and I've
Mhm.
always done it and it's always been there and I've always been able to count on it, that I can count on me to show up and put in the work. And I think I've seen people like through my years of like in the fitness business, like people that don't like working out, once they get in the routine, and I'm sure you see this in CrossFit, you get people high-fiving you and getting encouragement, and you start to see some little muscles popping out on your arms. You're like, oh, I kind of like this. I think anybody can fall in love with training.
Yeah, bro, I'll be straight up with you, man. By nature, I'm a lazy person. I'm a serious. People might think that sounds crazy, but all I want to do every single day when I get off of work is I want to sit on my ass on the couch and watch TV and play
Yep.
on my
Yep.
I mean, I'm a lazy person by nature. It's taken years of being like, this is the discipline, this is what you have to follow. It's not even a question in my mind anymore. It's like there's nothing else. There's train and then enjoy your time afterwards.
100%. And dude, I heard David Goggins say this the other day. He said something like, I never wanted to train, but I couldn't live with myself knowing that I could have and that I didn't.
I feel that, man, on every
Well, dude, so you're, how many days in are you right now to the 365 days of Hero Wads?
3:15. So the page is a little bit behind just because
Yep.
like dude, editing videos, as you know, takes forever.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes I'll just be like, it's not happening today.
Yep.
And it always gets done eventually. So it's like 3 or 4 days behind. I'm on day 315 today.
Let's go. So have you thought about what's next? Are you going to take a year off? Like what are you going to do?
Ultra marathon training. So that's already kind of started.
Yeah.
December 9th, I'm running a race in North Carolina, up 20,000 feet of elevation gain, 100-mile race.
You're a wild man, dude.
And I don't like running, man. I hate running. I hate it.
You've got lungs though, man. You've definitely got, you breathe, you're a fire breather, as they call it in the CrossFit world.
People say that, and it's really fun. I guess I am like in terms of like the average person, but I'm a very average, like a quarterfinals athlete, like top 5 to 10% in the world, but nothing spectacular. And I remember, and I think about this still, like to this day, my dad paid for this like agility camp for football when I was like 9 or 10. And I played guard, man, because I was like, I really like I was a bigger kid, I guess, for that size, but I could
Yep.
move my real well, so I'd like pull a lot. But I remember being at this camp and my dad paid $100 for me to go to it. And I was always like slower. I don't know, man. I just wasn't fast. Like I didn't have great endurance. I remember throwing up at this camp and my dad being so disappointed that he paid $100 and I didn't finish the camp. And I go back to that in my mind, that disappointment of that, like when I know I quit and wasn't in shape enough for that. I go back to that on like a regular basis during runs or workouts, etc. So I don't think I have like genetically gifted lungs or work capacity, maybe volume, yeah, but the other stuff, absolutely not. I'm very average.
But you built it.
Yeah, through years of suffering.
I love that. And y'all let that be a lesson. Like this didn't, what Jim is doing now didn't happen overnight. It's been like years of grinding. And bro, for the record, in the 7th grade, when I first started playing football, I did get fast eventually, but I played guard as well. I
Yeah.
was like 115 pounds, like playing pulling guard. I had no business playing guard.
Dude,
But
I think a lot. So like I played linebacker in like a hybrid like safety outside linebacker in high school at a pretty high level. I wasn't big enough or fast enough to play in college, but I was pretty good in high school. And I think that we talked about it, like two of the corners and our safety and me as like the roving outside linebacker, we all played pulling guard growing up. And I was like, and as a coach, like younger kids in football, I'd always put the most athletic kid at pulling guard because at that age, you can teach anybody to run down a hole, but you
yeah,
can't, it's like understands the plays and can get down the line and in the hole fast enough. So I think maybe there's something to be said about pulling guards from age 5 to 12 or whatever.
Bro, I've never heard that correlation, but I'm gonna run with that now. I'm like, the coach knew I was an athlete, so he put me at pulling guard.
Well, look at it. Look at it when you go next time you go watch, pound like, Pee-wees or whatever play football, and look at the kid that's playing guard if they're running up, some kind of scheme where the guard pulls at that
Yeah.
age. Like, have to be able to you have to have good feet to get down the line. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to adjust on the fly a lot of the time. Like, I really think some of your best athletes are pulling guards.
I love it, dude. Okay, bro, I know you're tight on time, so I got two quick questions.
Okay.
To a dad who isn't happy with where they're at and they need to get in the gym, like what's your best advice to get them started?
Oh man, it's so easy. It's just go. Just start. That's the first day, man. It's like everything else in life. Like, yeah, it might seem kind of weird, man. Like, I was scared to go in a CrossFit gym for the first time. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody, but I went, and then I just kept building and building and building. And now I could go into any fitness environment and anywhere in the world and feel completely comfortable. The other thing I would say is, like, dude, nobody cares what state you're in when you start. You might put a lot of thought into like other people in the gym maybe judging you, etc. Like, dude, I can promise you no one cares. Everybody that's in there is in there to better themselves, and no one cares what you look like or where you're starting. Like, just get after it, man. Just start. It's the easiest thing to do is just start, and then you build momentum.
Bro, that's my favorite thing is just start. What's the biggest like practical implication that you've seen from your fitness as like a husband or a father? Like, is it like carrying your kids, carrying the groceries inside, throwing your wife over your shoulder? Like,
I would say it's just the time management and how I've understood priorities in life better. Because yeah, working out's a priority, but like my wife, my marriage, and my family, and my faith and everything is like a bigger priority than that. But everything else kind of falls in place when I create structure. And once I have structure, there's time allotted for everything. I know that's kind of a loaded answer, but I would say that is probably the biggest thing for me.
and I want to finish with this because earlier you said that Murph, first of all, is a great answer. You said that Murph started as a selfish thing, but I think dads need to get out of the framework of understanding that like taking an hour to work out ultimately it may be selfish starting, but it's not. Like if you
Yeah.
put yourself in a better place, like physically and mentally from working out, you're helping everybody. My wife knows that I'm a better husband and dad after I've gotten my workout in. It's just the
Yeah.
way it
Dude, I'm a completely different person. And she'll say it. She'll be like, you need to go work out.
is.
And she understands it. Everybody understands it, but it's because I took that first step and it's become part of my life now.
Let's go. Y'all take that first step, make it part of your life. Jim, you're the best, dude. I love following you. I think you're a big inspiration for everybody. And where's the best place for people to find you if they want to follow you if they're not currently?
Oh, just on Instagram.
Jimbo Broski on Instagram. Y'all give him a follow. You won't regret it. Bro, thank you so much for joining today. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you too, man.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later, bud.